Hi, friends. I'm Deneen. I'm the host of this show, The Space in Between. I'm a mom, I'm an attorney, I'm an author, and I'm also a widow. We're going to get into some really important stuff today, and I'm really grateful that you're here and you're going to be sitting with us on The Space in Between.
Hi, everyone. We are back in The Space in Between, and today's guest on The Space in Between is Graham Wilkerson. He is the founder of Genesis Sports Performance and Athlete Lead Engine. Did I say that right?
Yep.
I wasn't sure if it was Athlete. Graham heads up the team at Genesis, where they serve youth, high school, and adult clients like me in 3 locations across Indiana, helping them improve strength and performance. Graham is also a business consultant, mentoring other gym owners nationwide and helping them scale through his licensing program. What drew me to Graham's story isn't just his success. It's the grit, risk, and deep personal belief it took to build something from the ground up, especially when the outcome was uncertain. One thing that caught me is he lives by a quote from Teddy Roosevelt, who happens to be my favorite president. And just like Roosevelt's life, Graham's journey is shaped by challenge, purpose, and the relentless pursuit of something bigger than himself. Welcome, Graham.
Thanks for having me, Deneen. I'm super excited to be on.
I'm super excited that you're here. This has been a long time, right?
Yeah.
Almost a year. So for you guys out there, Graham and I actually live in the same neighborhood. I don't know if you remember this. I didn't realize it at first, but I remember seeing this guy walking back and forth in front of my house. Do you remember this story?
I think you may have told me. I was like pacing on the phone or
he
something.
He was on a phone call, clearly deep, locked in. I'm believing it might have been a work call.
Yeah,
he was locked in. I was in my house on a work call, locked in, but my drapes were open and I saw this man just walking in front, didn't recognize you yet. And I stepped out to kind of be like, hey, are you okay? I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
There's not usually a man that just, I don't know why you picked my house. I feel like it was meant to be. You were just in, you don't remember even doing it, right?
Forth?
You were pacing in front of my house.
My wife always gets on me about that when I'm on phone calls.
But I do it too.
Yeah.
I have to pay. That's why I don't like Zoom, because I want to walk around.
Yeah.
And I'll say hi to people and then I'll go on picture mode because I want to walk and I don't like sitting still. Although we're sitting still, right? Maybe I should do a walking show. Okay. Go. Anyway, I came outside and I think I tried to call at you. You were walking away, but you're a ginger. So you're not easy to miss.
Right.
And I was like, Graham, that's Graham. That's the owner of my gym. And I told you the next time I saw you. But then after that, I don't know if you know this story. My friend Christy and I do coffee walks around the neighborhood.
Okay.
And I consider her to be like a pseudo mayor of Meridian Kessler. Mm-hmm. And we were walking and your wife, Shelby, was putting your daughter in your car.
Okay.
And she recognized me, but not my name. And she said, do you work out at Genesis? Do you know this story?
No,
you're looking at me. I didn't know if you.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think I do. I know I do. And I didn't understand why she was asking me. Adorable little girl with her. And Christy made the connection. She knew Shelby.
Yeah.
And then we joked around with your little girl. I guess she was going off to school. And Christy made that connection. And so it was kind of interesting. We all laughed and kind of walked it off. And so suddenly, like this person that I knew from the gym, from in front of my house, from now in front of his house, it sort of became something I felt connected to. Then we had a conversation in the gym and we kind of shared some deep things. And I figured out we share more than a zip code. And I started building this idea of interviewing you. And we both hold this deep admiration for Teddy Roosevelt, which I didn't discover until recently. So the overlap, the pursuit with struggle and grit and belief makes this conversation one that I've been wanting to have for a while. So my first question to you. It's funny how sometimes the most unexpected connections, everything I just described, lead to powerful conversations. And when I think about how we both found the light in some dark moments, Whether it was in the gym or in life, I'm reminded of the resilience that we both share. Teddy Roosevelt famously said, and I know this means something to you, nothing in the world is worth having or worth doing unless it means effort, pain, and difficulty. That quote resonates so much with your journey, Graham. You started Genesis with little more than a belief and a lot of hard work. You started building a gym without a playbook, unless you had one, and you're going to correct me in a minute. Can you take us back to those early days, and what made you first want to start a gym, and what did it feel like when the future was uncertain, but you were still showing up every day to pursue that?
Yeah, when I first decided to start the gym, I had recently graduated, so I'm only 23 years old. I did medical device sales the year prior, and I was working for a small company. I was on call all the time. I was doing like trauma implant sales. So I thought to myself, hey, if I'm going to work this hard, like I'm going to pursue something that I really want to pursue. And I had always been in love with the sports performance side of things, training athletes, strength training. I wanted to start my own gym, but I had zero experience. I was actually a history major.
Oh my gosh.
So I had the life experience in the sense that I played football and I had trainers in the past, but I wanted to figure out, hey, how do I do this? So I went back to Chittard where I had graduated, and I started helping the football team with their strength training. I enrolled at Ball State, and I got my master's in athletic coaching education, and I was studying for a certification called the CSCS that you basically need if you want to work with like high school or college athletes. I didn't have like my undergrad in it, so I pretty much like locked myself in my room and like studied this textbook for 2 months. Past that, and then I opened up the gym, Genesis, in 2024 in a tiny, it was like 1,000 square foot. It was a former law office. So
it's about what we're in. I think we're probably in about 700 right now.
Mm-hmm. And so I just remember walking in. I signed a personal guarantee. I emptied my bank account to do it. I walked in, and it wasn't set up right. The lights are hanging from the ceiling.
God.
Drywall's all broken, and I'm kind of like, well, I have no other option but to make this work. So
had you quit the implant sales?
I had quit the medical device sales, and I was like all in. I didn't really have another route, so I knew I had to make it work.
Wow. So there's a common idea that building something worthwhile often feels lonely, especially when your path doesn't look like everyone else's. And we kind of touched on this in your pre-interview. Did you ever feel caught between what you were sacrificing and what you hoped was coming? When you were looking at those lights falling down and all that?
Absolutely. I think the first 4 to 5 years were hard. I remember my friends, they had started to get into long-term relationships. Some of them were getting married. Some of them were having kids. They were going on trips. They were going golfing on the weekends. They had the money to spend and, go on vacations together. And I was broke, and I was working like 60 hours a week because I was the only person in there. So I was doing one-on-ones. I was doing group training. I would start my day. I remember I had a one-on-one at 5. So I would start at 4:30. I'd train until like 10. I spent a lot of time learning and educating myself on the training. And then we would go again from like 3 to 8 p.m. at night. And so it was lonely, and I was alone. And I remember the turning point for me on, hey, we gotta make some changes was when I had met my wife. And I have a big Saint Bernard. His name's Hercules. He ate a stick. And he needed emergency surgery, and it was going to be like $6,000.
Oh my gosh.
And Shelby, God love her, paid for the surgery. I couldn't do it. And that was the moment I was like, wow, I gotta figure something out here.
Like something's got to change, because I would have lost my dog.
Yes.
If it wasn't for this beautiful person.
Yeah. And she wasn't even my wife yet.
Yeah. That's like support.
Mm-hmm.
And like, that's a ride or die.
Right. I knew she was the one right about that time.
That's amazing. think I'm sure that he appreciates her too. Right?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
did I meet him? Did he ever come to the gym?
I don't think you've met him, but you
Okay.
would know if you did.
Okay. Did you ever bring another dog to the gym?
We brought Zeus, which is our other big dog.
Okay, I remember that name.
when he was a puppy.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So wow. So when did you see it start to change? You said it had to change. I forgot your dog's name because now Zeus is in my head. What was his name?
Hercules.
So when, after Hercules surgery or during, like, when did you really hit that wall moment where you're like, you woke up the next day and started doing things different?
Yeah, I realized, hey, I'm working, these 50, 60-hour weeks. I'm not making enough income to, if an emergency happens, I'm kind of up a creek. Definitely not making enough money, or do I have the schedule to be able to like support a family? And things had started to get serious with Shelby, and there was a moment right around that point that I honestly almost quit. I had a job offer from another organization, and I was close. And
How close? Like this close?
I mean, I was
this close. I'm doing my fingers like almost touching each
so
other.
you'll know. I mean, you were around when Dale was
Yes.
there too. So
Yeah.
right around this time, Dale Speckman, my former business partner, had reached out.
Hey, Dale, shout out.
Hey, Dale. He'd reached out, and he had talked to me about potentially buying. His business at the time was Athletic Revolution. Dale and I met. We realized we were fierce competitors at the start, but we met and we realized how much we had in common and how much we liked one another. And so that's when we combined together, and that was a great marriage of sorts. Like I had a lot of these youth athletes and kind of younger clientele. Dale had the adult boot camp side. I was connected with Chittard. He was connected with Cathedral. So we were able to blend that together. And
Wow. So I just got to wind that back a little bit.
mhm.
So you're fierce competitors with Dale, which I did not know. I knew that you two ended up at some point partnering. What was is the right word progenesis for actually getting you two to meet? Because I'm thinking about if I have a competitor and she's someone who I think has taken away something from me, what's making me reach out to her? What made you?
We had a common friend that used to work for Dale, JD O'Brien. He had messaged me and said that Dale was interested in, talking. And so I didn't know how it was going to go. And we met one another and we were like, wow, like, you have this vision of your competitor as someone totally different than what they are. Right. And
You're
then when I
building it
met
up
him,
and he's building it up in his head.
I was like, wow, this is a really genuine guy. I like it.
Wow.
So we knew that, we were cut from the same cloth. We'd be able to grow it together. Then COVID hit.
So you and Dale came together before COVID.
Mhm.
And is that where Dale's version of Genesis, I don't want to say version, but Dale, because you mentioned another company that I'm not familiar with.
Dale's original gym was called Athletic Revolution. So we joined together as Genesis
Okay.
In 2020, and then COVID hit.
And this is where, when you and I had that deep talk in the gym, I always thought it was Dale's gym first. And you were like, no, this is how it came together. And Genesis was like, I didn't understand it. So now you had two separate gyms and it became Genesis, which
we combined.
I think was a smart move, because Genesis, I like that name. Not that I don't like Dale's, but it was a good move anyway. Peanut Gallery, Deneen. So then COVID hit. Oh my gosh. What did you
Shut
do?
down
So that's another struggle right there, that our friend Teddy Roosevelt,
Right.
that would have challenged him and pushed him. So go ahead.
I mean, that's business, right? You know that.
So what did you do? You definitely rose above because you're still here.
Shut down for 3 months. Revenue, I had felt like, hey, I'm finally in a good place. Shut down for 3 months, revenue slashed in half. Obviously doing everything we can to hang on to as many members as we could. So we lended out all of our equipment. I was on Zoom every day doing virtual workouts. We would host like coffee meetings for the members, and our members, I mean, a lot of them really, really supported us. So like they kept us afloat. Right. So we're super thankful for that.
It's a great community at
yeah,
Genesis. I mean,
absolutely.
that's part of the reason I've stayed. Like, it's a great community.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
I like the people that are there. So you pushed through COVID, and so I want to move a little bit. I don't want to not talk about COVID, but I think this sort of ties into it a little bit. You've said the pressure of taking out loans, working nonstop, and trying to build something stable, which I think COVID kind of destabilized everyone, and especially small business owners who didn't have a lot to fall back on. But you said to me before we sat down in pre-interview that it sort of rewired how you move through life. What does that rewiring look like now? Or how does it help you now, or possibly hinder you? Because sometimes you can rewire through something traumatic and it could trigger you. But what does your rewiring look like?
Yeah, I think I've had both good, and if we want to use the term rewiring, good and bad rewiring throughout my time as a gym owner. I think the good would be I seem to be able to handle a lot more curveballs, stress. I can undergo multiple things at once and kind of keep my cool. Like, just last week we had all the taxes, gym acquisition, started up a practice management at another gym. I flew out to Vegas. Like, that's a lot going on in a week, and I'm pretty calm with it, right? I know some people might be a little bit stressed there. Other things stress me out. I think maybe the bad rewiring, for lack of a better term, is that you're almost kind of always on edge, as in like, hey, what's the next curveball that's going to be thrown at me? Makes it a little bit harder to maybe appreciate where you're at and stay in the moment, because you're always trying to prepare for the next bomb that's going to get dropped on you, or the floor that's going to fall out on you.
I'm picturing a catcher. My son played both catcher and pitcher, and he recently switched up and went back to catcher and club baseball. And it's a different mindset than pitcher. It's like offensive versus defensive. So now he's constantly at the ready to receive a bomb, a wild pitch, something that could throw the whole game off, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas as a pitcher, you're more, I think you're a little bit, or you're supposed to be more in control. So now you're sort of in I don't want to use the word trauma. I don't want to put that on you, but like, if you're rewired to constantly be ready, it's like you're there with your glove. Like, right. Where's it coming from? And you're sort of tilting. And maybe that's not always bad, but if you're trying to be present, which you've mentioned also, does that take away from it? And I don't know how you can be a successful business owner and not be in that anticipatory stage. Maybe if you had 100 gyms, but then I don't know. I'm veering off a little bit of my topic here, but I want to go there because this is a space in between. What if you did have 100 gyms? Have you ever envisioned that for yourself?
Yeah, I think I tend to try to work my way out of that feeling, but that it never goes away, right? So, we have the 3 gyms. I have a license program where I have 20 gym owners that I'm kind of teaching our systems, trying to scale with the goal of franchising that, right? I have we're trying to do some real estate stuff. So there's that side of things that Shelby's helping with. So I almost feel like I create things do get smooth. Like, oh, all right. Like, it's easy going. And I almost have to have that challenge to keep my headspace good. Or it's like, oh, this is, I will start thinking about too much and I'll get anxious unless I have like a big task that I'm tackling. My wife like literally makes fun of me for it. She's like, well, what are you going to do this year? Like, what gym are you going to open up now? Like, how many businesses do you have?
Right.
But it's just...
She might be mad at me for this question then. Sorry, Shelby, if you're listening. I just was wondering, is there any amount of success that you think would stop that trigger? Because sometimes people say to themselves, if this, then I'll be calm. If this, then I'll be... I know you're not saying that because I know you're very happy with your life now, but if this, then I'll be happy. If this, then I'll be calm. I thought if I bought the car that I did, it was going to bring me a lot of happiness. And it did. I love driving my car and it's really fun, but you can't do everything with your car. It's not, but it was a sort of symbol for me that I had achieved some level of success. So it's not an if this, I also thought this show, like we were just talking before about being neck and neck with Martha Stewart, like that looked like success for me. So I took a picture of it because I don't know if I'll be there again, but it didn't stop me from feeling like I still have to do something. So, and I definitely am not at the apex of anything here, so I'm not trying to say I am, which for you might be 100 gyms. I don't know. I'm just wondering out loud, maybe for our listeners too, like what is that level where a person feels like, hey, I can relax tonight. My kid's in bed, safe. My wife, or for me, my husband, like everybody's okay. My kids are okay. Can I relax? Like that's a great feeling. And I do wish that for you and for my listeners too. Hey, just wanted to jump in and let you all know that the B3 Lab is happening March 13th in Indianapolis. Come join us. Details below in the show notes. So the Roosevelt quote, effort, pain, difficulty, is something you literally carry with you and on you, according to our pre-interview. What was it about that message that felt like a compass during your harder seasons? And the two-part question, do you relate to that need to keep moving forward, even when you're not sure what's next?
Yeah, absolutely. I remember I got it painted on the cinder block on the wall because I'd get in there every morning at 5, and there are so many times when I'd ask myself, like, man, why am I doing this? Right. So I just remember looking at that a lot, and that was kind of like my guiding light.
Would you read it out loud?
In my head, I would, yeah. My guiding light when I was going through it, just like the business startup. I have it framed now. I got a frame of the wall, so like I could remember that because we leased the facility. So I have a frame picture of that in our basement, and then I have the quote of Teddy Roosevelt tattooed on my chest because I just wanted to remember like everything that it took to get started and everything that I had battled through to get to where I was, and I never wanted to lose that. I still use it as like a memento today. Like, hey, this has kind of been since you've been a young adult, some of the most formidable years of your life. You went through, breakups, parent getting sick, starting a business, a little bit of, hardship starting. I know other people have had many more challenges than I have, so I don't want to milk what I had to go through, but it's definitely been a guiding light for me. Yeah.
So what would you say the quote for us here?
Yeah. Nothing in this world is worth having or worth doing unless it means effort, pain, and difficulty.
When you hear that yourself say it, is there any specific moment that your mind goes to? When you had it tattooed, was there any moment that your mind went to when you had it, or is it 20 moments that pass by your eyes?
Yeah, it just reminds me of honestly, right now thinking about it, I'm thinking about a time when I knew I had a 12-hour work shift. I was sick at the time, like laying on the rubber floor of the gym, like looking at it in between sessions, knowing like, all right, I got like the flu. I got to train for 4 more hours.
Down the Tylenol.
And, yeah. There's really no end in sight here, right? Because you don't know, like, is this going to be successful? Or are you going to do this all for naught, right?
That's where you drew your light. Like it felt dark, and that quote really carried you through. Are there any other times of, like, maybe when your dog was that ill before Shelby offered, or during that time, or is there any other time when you were offering support for your mom where that quote really, I don't know, I'm just wondering where it translated across just business, like not just business, but it really, because you have it tattooed on your body. So I'm just, in my mind, it's bringing you strength.
Yeah. I remember like you know, I had started out, I was paying rent, I had all these kids, and then they all go back for football, so I like lose them all. And then there was another moment where I had like been training maybe 15 like adults, and they were all friends, and like one of them decided to go to another gym, and they all left at the same time. And then I remember kind of along the same time, I was going to these schools and doing free speed sessions and inviting people in to train for free, and it just felt like nothing was working.
Clicking.
Yeah. And I'm, seeing my friends start families and, get married. And I remember like, it was like, 8:00, like calling my mom on the way home from one of the schools and just being like, I don't know if this is going to, in a dark, not in a place of this isn't working. I'm struggling and I don't really know how to get out of this.
But that is a dark place.
Right.
It doesn't mean it's the end of your life, but it's a dark, darkness it's dark. It's darkest right before dawn. It doesn't mean it's not about to be light, but it's a dark place. And that quote, or your mom and the quote, right? Sort of, I think, I mean, if that's your motto for life, it must have really meant something to you. And I think that was how, I don't know what Teddy Roosevelt did to continually find his light. I don't know if he told himself that same quote every day, or if he just told himself, buck up. Like I often wonder how he got through when I hear this thing about losing his wife and his mom in the same day, I just don't understand. I do understand getting shot and continue, like, for some reason. I don't know why that doesn't, but I don't understand losing two people you love that much in the same day. So I really appreciate your answer. So you help other gym owners scale and find their footing with your licensing program. What's one thing you would tell them that you wish someone had told you and I don't know if you're always helping out new owners, but what's one thing you would tell them that you wish someone had told you when you were starting out, besides just keep going? But
practically speaking, the most practical advice probably would be when I first started out, and I see them making a lot of the same mistakes. They focus so much on, all of us got in this business because we love coaching, and that's the main focus for everyone, yet it will leave you in that cycle, that vicious cycle of training all the time and not being able to, have employees or scale your business if you don't look at the business side. That's my number one piece of advice for most of them. They spend hours and hours and hours like doing certifications and working on their craft, which is great. You have to have a great product, but they definitely neglect the business side of things.
So when we talk about the business side, would you include other things like social media or outreach? I know I get a lot of emails from Genesis. Do you consider that the business side, or do you consider you going and meeting with people? I remember last summer, I said something to Derek when he was training me, and I was like, I haven't seen Graham in a while. And he's like, that's good. We don't want to see him. We want him out there talking to people, or whatever he said. And I was like, okay. Like it wasn't yes or no for me that you weren't there. I just mentioned, like, I haven't seen him in a while.
Yeah, it's all of that. It's the marketing piece. It's going and making relationships with coaches. It's, setting up an email list, the social media.
So we have 3 questions from long timers at Genesis. One's 2 of them are kind of serious. One's really lighthearted. What do you look for when you're interviewing or recruiting staff for the gym?
Yeah, that's a great one. I love hiring people that were in the service industry. Whether it's like, hey, we're a waiter, like, because that is some of the intangibles that's very hard to teach. Like, you have to be able to develop the relationship and service the clients. And we actually role play that every Friday.
Oh, okay.
I can teach you the X's and O's when it comes to training, but the interpersonal skills is what I really hone in on when I'm doing an interview.
Do we call those soft
Yeah,
skills?
soft skills, exactly.
So I noticed Gabe, who's no longer with us. I mean, no longer with Genesis, not no longer with us. Sorry, that was weird. And Derek both served in the armed forces.
Gabe did. Derek didn't.
Oh, I thought Derek did.
Cody did.
Oh,
I'm not sure
okay. I got that wrong. Sorry about that. So I thought maybe you were also looking for people that served our country. I didn't know if that was a thing too.
I mean, that's not necessarily like a prerequisite I have.
Okay.
I mean, I think that obviously
it's
they
great,
have a
right?
lot
Yeah.
of good qualifications
Yeah.
that would lend itself to the job. But I definitely, my biggest thing is definitely the interpersonal skills. And if you are like, we want quality people, quality humans, right?
Yeah, everybody who works there is pretty great. So interpersonal, being able to build relationships. Okay. So the second question is a little bit more serious. So I don't know. This person wanted to know, do you think that the early morning gym sessions truly help a 4th, 5th, or 6th grade athlete who might also have all day school and then even after school practice or a game? I guess her question was more like, why are they coming that early in the morning when they have all that like what's the benefit to that type of athlete?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's the only time that they can potentially come. And if all they're doing in this day and age with like athletics, you know, you have a son that plays baseball, it's like that's a year-round sport, right? You have travel, then you have high school. They really don't get a break from it.
I hate that, by the way. I mean, he's in college now, and he's a grad student now, so he's playing club. But I hated that when he was younger because we skied and I wanted him to develop his ski ability. You know, I wanted him to play football or basketball, but it was so hard because it feels like by the time they turn 9 or 10, they want them in baseball like all year. Mm-hmm. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but as a mom, I just want to say I hate what has become of like youth athletes.
Right. And I'm with you. Like it's harmful, I think, in terms of development. And the reason why we have to offer those early morning sessions, why it is beneficial. I definitely value sleep, and that's something that we speak with these athletes about. Hey, you need to be going to bed early. But they have to get different movement skills. They have to move their body in multiple planes. They have to be able to strengthen their tendons, their ligaments, their bones to keep that schedule. And if all you're doing is one sport, you're overtraining those movement patterns, you're overtraining those muscles. So, we would like to play a part and to help balance that out. And most of those athletes are coming 2 times a week, right? So it's not like they're waking up every morning
No, I guess she wanted to know, and you just jumped into something that is, I think, what didn't exist when I was little. When my brother was playing, I swam for a small part of my life, and the reason I didn't do it for a long part is my mom refused to take me to practice at 6 a.m. She was like, I have 3 kids, I'm not doing it. And I had a lot of promise as a swimmer, but she just was like, that doesn't benefit our family. It might have benefited me, but so when my son was starting to hit, I guess, like I said, like almost like 10, his baseball coaches almost started, they were like almost making fun of him for skiing in the beginning of like the end of February and March. Yeah. And it really bothered me because it's a different set of muscles. Mm-hmm. He was really a powerful skier on slalom. And I just was like, let him finish the season.
Right.
Like,
it's good for him.
Like, why can't and it was like, listen, Cole, if you want to be on this team, you don't go skiing. What are you, like some preppy? He's like 10 years old and they were constantly ribbing him. And I really hated it. And then in the summer, if he wanted to take a surf lesson, it was like, oh, you're not going to be grinding it out here with us. And it's only fall ball in the fall. And it just always bothered me. So what are your thoughts on like what you're seeing in the youth athlete specifically? Once he got to college ball, I did leave everything up to his coaches. But what do you think in the youth athlete culture now? Because I think it's gotten too far, but I'm not in it. I don't have a 10-year-old anymore.
Right. I mean, you hit the nail on the head, and there's a lot of coaches in my industry that are trying to kind of combat it, right? Like the skill level of these athletes, insane. The performance and the athleticism, it's poor because all they're doing is, again, like going
The
to
same mechanics.
going to hitting lessons, going to practice, going to pitching lessons, right? And what happens is it just, they have less movement skills. They're more prone to injury, burnout. And if you look at like the data behind, how many of these kids are going to go like Division I or play professional, it's very slim to none, right? And even if, let's say that was in the cards, those athletes all play multiple sports. Like those are the athletes that they're looking for. So yeah, I mean, I don't love it. I think, with my daughter, she's going to play multiple sports throughout the year. She's not going to specialize. And if she does fall in love with one, like we'll wait till high school, and we're definitely going to have like dedicated off season time so she can be a kid.
Well, I'm really glad to hear that. And I really did fight back against that, but by the time we got into late middle school, it was so hard. And even my daughter with volleyball, it got very hard. We really.
Yeah. And I definitely sympathize with parents. I had a parent just telling me the other day, like, I know you're telling me this, but what are my options? Because my daughter's not going to be able to make the team if she doesn't do this.
That's exactly the threat that hangs over all, and especially the high school team. That's the biggest threat, because not everybody's following the travel or for my daughter, the club team, but they need to be on that high school team or mentally it wrecks them. That's hard. Here's a lighthearted question to bring us a little bit out of this. Why, oh, why, Graham, and I'm with this person, can we not have a regular clock upstairs with a second hand? And can we get that? Can we get you to say yes to that right now?
A second clock. So we have the digital
Not
one.
the digital.
You guys want a
regular clock that gives us a second hand so we know what time it is.
We'll do that.
Thank you. All right.
All you have to do is ask and we'll get it done.
Well, I've been asking Derek for a year and he keeps blowing me. No, he doesn't. He tries to show me how to work it and he comes up and sets the remote, but I just want to know what time it is.
Just like a hand one.
Like what you have downstairs when we do wall sits and other things. We could time it out by looking at that one, or planks that we have to do. Okay. That was me and another member, by the way. I won't remain anonymous on that one, but I will let her remain. I'll get
anonymous. You a clock. I promise.
Thank you. Yay. Okay. So you mentioned to me in our pre-interview that your daughter is your why now. And I really caught on to that because there's a song by Hoobastank called The Reason. I don't know if you've ever heard it.
Yeah.
My friend, my very good friend, was getting married, and the song came on the radio when it first came out. And she was like, Blake is my reason, her new husband. But I had just had a baby. And I always associated that with Cole is my reason, my son. He was only like 9 months at the time. But even though I think it's about romantic love, that song will always be about my son to me. So I grabbed onto that in your pre-interview. How has becoming a father changed how you lead, how you work, and how you see yourself?
Oh, yeah. I start talking to my daughter, I get it.
I know, you just got a little choked up for a second.
Yeah, I mean, I think my decisions are based on, wanting to.
I didn't mean to make you cry.
I know. I shouldn't be tearing up at that. I don't know why.
Well, it's your kid. When I first heard The Reason, I literally cried because it reminded me so much of Cole.
Yeah, and
I love you, Grayson. That's my daughter. But that song, I only had one kid at the time.
Right.
My reason, my why.
Yeah, I just want to give her the life that, I think she deserves. And so all of my decisions are made around, I like to have my whys, why am I pursuing this? What's the reason why? And for me, it's like my family's first, faith, my fitness. So like, I want to be able to do all three of those. And so, I won't take anything on if it's going to prevent me from like, missing anything out for her. And then I just want to, be able to set her up for success and be a good role model for her and treat her the way that hopefully her husband treats her one day.
You're setting her up that way. And you know what? You're already doing it because they model how their dad treats them. And so, final question, and it really ties into it. You've gone from survival mode to impact mode. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad to have witnessed just a small part of it. And this really ties into Reese. But what does legacy mean to you? And if feel like you've already just touched on it, that's fine. But what does it mean to you now? Just not with the business, but as a man, a father, and a leader? Or is it all tied into one?
Yeah, being able to make an impact on the clients that we serve, being able to make an impact on my family, and then also like our staff. We have 16 staff. We have, not only my daughter, Kendrick has a baby boy.
That's right.
Cody has 2 baby boys. Like, I don't take it lightly that a lot of people depend on the success of the business and the other things that we have going on. And I that has always been a big driving force for me. I think that's part of the reason why I try to take on so many things, because I want everyone to be able to, have stability in our organization. And it's something I pride myself on, and something that I ensure that I'm constantly keeping in the forefront of my mind.
Well, I think you're doing a great job from this,
Thank you.
membership, member perspective and neighbor perspective. And thank you so much for sitting with me on the Space in Between. I'm so glad you came today, Graham.
Thanks, Deneen. I'm happy to have been able to be on it. I appreciate you inviting me on.
Thanks again. All right, guys. Thanks so much for sitting with us. Have a great day. Hi, friends. If you enjoy what you're listening to, please follow, rate, and share The Space in Between.